Hey boys, it's HarmNone. Today we're going to be customizing the Rebla GTS in Grand Theft Auto Online. This is one of my favorite SUVs in the entire game. It is so sick. Let's get into it. Alright guys, starting off with the armor, we are going to go all the way up on that for sure. The brakes as well, all the way up. For the bumpers, we have front and rear options for this car, and there are a lot of really cool looking options. My favorite one for the front are the carbon twin wedges, so we're going to go for that. For the secondary, we can of course make the rear bumper into a carbon rear bumper, so we are going to go for that. Engine all the way up. For the exhaust, we do have a few options here as well. I kind of like the infinity exhausts, so we're going to go for those. Now for the fenders, we can change them up or we can widen them a little bit if we even want to. I think we'll go for the primary wide fenders. It's kind of a good look, so we'll do that. Next up for the grille, I personally really like the carbon exposed grille on this thing. However, there are a few other options, but the carbon exposed I think looks the best. Now as far as the hood goes, there are several more options here. This thing does have an absolute ton of customization, which I really respect. I personally really like the scooped hood, so we're going to go for that. Now for the lights, we are going to go xenon on those, and for the livery, we do have some options here. So I will show you guys these. I'm not planning on putting a livery on this thing, but I will show you all of the options, of course. There are some pretty cool ones if you're into liveries. I'm personally not, so I'm just not going to add any. We will go carbon mirrors on this thing for sure. For the plate, yellow on black, of course. Now for the respray, I really like this thing in a white, honestly. I feel like it looks absolutely amazing. However, I'm thinking about going for something a little bit darker today, like a rolled steel. Rolled steel looks really good. It's a really underrated color. Nobody really puts this on their cars, which is really unfortunate. And for the trim color, it only does the stitching in this car, so we might as well go for something kind of bright, something kind of nice to look at. Let's go for ultra blue. And for the roof, we can make the roof a carbon panel, which is my intention. I love to do that on this car. For these skirts, we do have an absolute ton of options here as well. I personally kind of like the carbon aftermarket skirts, so let's go for those. Now for the spoiler on this thing, we can of course change up the entire back of this car to be way more aggressive with the carbon competition spoiler, which is of course what we're going to go for to match up with the rest of the roof. Now for the suspension on this car, it does have some really unique options here. You can absolutely slam this thing and make it look crazy. I personally don't really love the look, honestly, so I think I'm going to go for just lowered suspension. You know, it's a little too low in my opinion, but if it's all the way raised, it's also a little bit too high. So I think the lowered suspension looks really good. And for the vortex generator, as you guys can see, it is done in the dark steel color that we have, but we can of course make it into a carbon option, which is what we're going to do. We're actually going to add a second carbon vortex generator there. I think it looks pretty good. Race transmission, of course, and the turbo as well are also going to get put on this thing. And last but not least here, we are of course going to put my favorite rims on this thing, which are the concave mega mesh. So we're going to go for those, and then for the color of these, I'm not exactly sure what to go for. These rims look really good in black, they look really good in sort of darker colors. Honestly, stone silver with the color scheme that we've got going on this car is not a bad look. Even frost white, for some reason, I kind of like it, but it's just too white. So I think we're going to go for stone silver. I feel like that is a pretty good look. However, there is one more thing that I wanted to check, and that is going for maybe a dark copper or a dark ivory color on the rims. It does look pretty good in my opinion. We also of course have bronze that we could go for. That does look kind of good in my opinion too. You guys might not like it, but I feel like it's kind of like a tasteful mod that like kind of brings out a little more color in the car. So I'm kind of thinking either dark ivory or bronze. I really like those two options, or of course I do really like the stone silver as well. I think we're gonna go for stone silver. I feel like it's the cleanest look, so we'll do that. Bulletproof tires of course as well, and window tint. This thing is looking so clean. I really like this customization. Let's take this thing down to the ground. We're gonna do a sound test and a review. Alright guys, let's see what this thing sounds like. The Rebla GTS is actually one of the better sounding SUVs in the entire game in my opinion. This thing sounds really awesome. Off the line, there is a little bit of wheel spin, but it's not too bad because this thing is of course four-wheel drive. I will show you guys that right now. As you can see, all four wheels are spinning, so that's how you know it's four-wheel drive. Now, as far as performance goes, the Rebla GTS is actually one of the fastest SUVs in the entire game when it comes to racing. So if you're planning on doing SUV races, the Rebla GTS is not a bad car to pick up. I believe this thing is actually 4th in the entire game as far as lap times go, according to Bruffy. If you guys know who Bruffy is, he's a very, very reliable GTA Online vehicle tester, so you can pretty much trust his word as being the absolute truth. This thing is very, very quick, and the best part about the Rebla GTS is it actually handles incredibly well. Now, I only have the lowered suspension setting on this thing, but if you were to put the fully lowered suspension setting on this thing, it would handle absolutely incredibly. Mine is still a pretty good handling vehicle, but if you did lower the suspension all the way, that is definitely going to help out with the handling even more so. With that being said though, of course, like I said, it is very, very good nonetheless. Now, the Rebla GTS is not one of the fastest top speed SUVs out there, but its acceleration and its handling definitely make up for what it lacks in top speed. So it is a very, very good SUV to actually pick up if you guys don't have one already, especially if you're planning on doing some SUV races. This thing is pretty awesome. And of course, it is one of the best looking SUVs in the entire game, at least in my opinion. It's based heavily off of a BMW X5. I mean, you can customize it to kind of look like a BMW X5M if you want to. That's sort of the look that I've gone for with this customization today. However, you can make this thing as subtle as you want or as aggressive as you want. As you guys could see with all the customization options there, they do give you the ability to really play around with it, which is really, really nice. Overall, the Rebla GTS is a fantastic SUV. I would highly recommend picking it up if you guys do not have one already. This thing is absolutely awesome. Anyway guys, I think that is pretty much it for the customization and the review today. Let me know what you thought of my customization in the comments down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, dislike if you didn't. Subscribe if you guys are new, and I will see you all in the next video. Until then, take care. Peace.